You wake up every day, there's something new. Now there's potential Big 12 wanting to add 6 teams really fast. There's the Pac-12 having a conversation with the ACC about forming some kind of an alignment. There's the Big 10 looking hard, obviously, at Notre Dame and having to make a decision quickly on Oregon and Washington. The SEC is just kind of sitting back, but you know that they have something planned as well. How bonkers is this from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, first reaction, old man in me hates it because
Yeah.
regionalization is what made college football special. I think, all of this. I saw a post from a West Virginia fan earlier this week, or I guess it was late last week, that talked about, they didn't have a choice because their conference blew up, but they went to the Big 12, and now they have no rivals. Their program has no juice because they don't play any games that their fans look forward to every year. I mean, yeah, it's cool that Oklahoma comes out there. It's cool that, you get to play Oklahoma State and Texas and schools like that, but they want to play Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech and Miami, and they don't do that anymore. And so for a lot of West Virginia fans, sports don't mean nearly as much as they used to, because the thing that differentiates college sports from everything else is rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take those rivalries away, it means less to people. It means less to people that watch on TV, that give you money, that come to your stadium. So college football has got to be careful, because NASCAR did this. NASCAR went away from tracks that were well supported because, well, the North Carolina and Virginia markets are too saturated. Okay, that's great, but those tracks were selling out, so you could go to Kansas and you could go to California, and all that was in theory great for the growth of the sport, but it killed off what made it special. And college football is going to be very careful about that here in the next little bit.
Yeah, to that point about the rivalries, like the biggest rivalries amongst the biggest brand schools, for the most part, are going to be safe, right? If Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten, Notre Dame, USC are still going to play. Even if Notre Dame stays independent, I imagine that one sticks around because that one's big enough and the brands are big enough. But to that point, the West Virginias of the world, the ones that are maybe a step below, they're the ones whose rivalries are probably in the most trouble because you can't please everybody. The more convoluted the scheduling process has to become, the closer we get to AFC, NFC, or AFL, NFL, however this thing is going to shake out, there are going to be casualties, and they're going to be casualties of tradition.
Yeah, Washington State. Okay, the reports are that, Washington's an expansion target, and Oregon is. And, okay, so what happens to Oregon State? Does that still get played? If you're playing in a conference that plays 12 games and 10 or 11 of them are in conference, are you going to play Oregon State for your 12th game? I don't know that the answer is yes. You asked about the SEC, and I never answered your question, and I'm sorry about that. I think the SEC is sitting back to see how stable the ACC really is, because I don't think it makes any sense for the SEC to take any teams that aren't currently in a conference not named the ACC. So is the ACC stable? Could the ACC land Notre Dame? Could the ACC land a couple other schools where they would clearly be the third best conference, but they would still be a conference? I think that's the question.